This is not a Friday. So I hope this is going to work. We'll see. With my life and everything, I just now was able to get this finished. And I did the taco meat yesterday, which was nice because I let it cool overnight in the fridge. But I just want to refresh real quick that this summer stock up series is a little bit different than the last 2 summers where we prepped dump and go crock pot recipes. This time we're doing some of those. So I've got like the Asian pork here, but we're also doing things like taco meat for a quick and easy, super fast dinner. And if you prep any of the brown rice last week and froze it, you can have a dinner with tacos and brown rice in minutes. It will take you no time at all to get dinner on the table. But we're also stocking our pantries. We've done quinoa, rice, noodles, and I don't remember what else. Oh, seasonings, the taco and the ranch. And then this week I focused on tomato products. So I already used one of my marinaras last night for the sheet pan lasagna when my family came over. But I think I've got 7 marinaras left. And what I did is I had bought all the products you saw a picture of, and I got down and I organized everything and put all the new stuff that I bought in the back and brought all the older stuff forward, and then I was able to kind of take stock of what I don't have in my pantry. And I found that I've got 1 can of this bean and 1 can of that bean. So next week what I'm planning on doing is doing the petite diced tomatoes, and then I think 6 cans of black beans. Now obviously, if your family doesn't like beans or you don't use a lot of tomato products, you put in here whatever your family will want, will eat. If you will never eat quinoa, quinoa would be something that you should not stock. That'd be a waste of your money and play space in your pantry. So my suggestion is do what you can with the budget that you have, with what your family will eat. Quinoa, I only make a couple of recipes that my family will eat with quinoa, and that bag that I bought should last me at the minimum, I imagine, 6 months, because I'm not going to eat it that much. And then I did prep, I think first or second week, we prepped Mexican quinoa, which is already one of the most basic, simple recipes that if you have beans, corn, quinoa, chicken, rotel on hand, you can already just make that in a pinch. And that is what this whole thing is. It is going to take away dinner stress, dinner brain rot, I don't know what else to call it. Like I made my menu this week, I spent like 2 or 3 hours trying to come up with things that I would want to eat and make. So if you do this, just do this in a way that is going to be best for you and your family. And again, swap out what you will eat. I forgot about stocking up on broth, so I'm going to put that for one of the weeks. I might do the, I don't know if you get it at Sam's and Costco or one or the other, but the big thing, the Better Than Bouillon, it's such a better deal there to get the giant container, and if I get beef and chicken and maybe even vegetable, that will last me for months. So again, if you would never use the Better Than Bouillon, but you would do like homemade or store-bought bone broth, buy that instead. So this is just going to make our future selves healthy and happy and family fed, and it's going to take so much time out of or give us back so much time. Okay, so last night or yesterday, long process, I'm pretty sure it was 8 pounds of hamburger meat, and it was the 80-20, and I'm going to share pictures of my process on what I did, but I'll just explain it real quick. Since I was using fatty hamburger meat, I did not cook the cauliflower with the hamburger meat because I did not want the fat to get into the cauliflower. So what I did is I had 2 packages of about 2.4, 2.5 pounds, I think it's 2.54 pounds of 80-20 hamburger meat. I had 2 of those. And so then I cooked those, I drained the fat into a bowl and then rinsed it. And then I had a 3-pound chub of the 80-20, and I did the same thing. And while I was doing that, I was cooking the cauliflower rice. While I was doing that, I was putting my laundry away. I was doing so much at once. That's one reason I needed a break last night before I had to make the food for the family. Anyway, once I did all of that and I rinsed everything and went outside and I live in the country, so I don't know where you live and I don't know how you're going to get rid of your grease. but I just went outside and threw it off on the side of the yard in the grass. And then, I don't know if that's okay. And then I seasoned the cauliflower rice, and then I took the cauliflower rice out, and then I added the meat back into I had a big skillet and a big pot going, and I put the hamburger meat back in there, seasoned it up, and then I stirred in the cauliflower rice and everything. So I had 8 pounds, and I did 1 bag from Walmart because that's all I had, and I did 1 bag from Costco of the cauliflower rice. The Costco cauliflower rice, I think, is a whole pound, so it's a bigger bag. I ended up with 10 bags. Now, my husband last night when I was working on this, or yesterday afternoon, he made himself some lunch that I did not make. It was a late lunch, and so again, our morning did not go quite like planned, and we got home late. So he took some of my hamburger meat that I had made and then made him something with it. So this bag is smaller, but I have 8 bags of taco meat, and I weighed them out. I looked up, which I remember from years ago when I would do this, 2 pounds of hamburger meat, 2 pounds, 1 pound of hamburger meat cooked is approximately 2 cups cooked. So that's what I did, is I just measured the 2 cups, but then I got out my scale, and I made sure each bag weighed at the minimum 14 something a pound. And then this one weighs 10 something. So I imagine with what my husband took, I would have closer to 9 bags of taco meat instead of 8. I think that's excellent. So by adding those 2 bags, which I think it's either 12, I think it's 12 ounces from Walmart, and then I'm pretty sure it's 16 ounces from Costco. By adding those 2 bags into the hamburger meat, I was able to get about 9 pounds. Right, let me count one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I almost had 9 bags of taco meat. We're going to use this for dinner or leftovers. So this will be just used for tonight. And I did use some store-bought taco seasoning, and then I used some what we made on the first week as a taco seasoning. And now I've got 8 bags of pre-done taco meat with a little bit of cauliflower rice in it to stretch it. And again, lean ground beef right now in my area is over $8 a pound. Beef prices have hit the highest on record. So if you need to stretch your taco meat, and I'll try and show you what it looks like. I think you can kind of see. If you look super close and you investigate, you can kind of see that there's something in there. But my friend tried this trick with her family last week after I told her what I was doing, and she said nobody even could tell that there was cauliflower rice in there. So if you need to, this is one way. And you could do mushrooms. I was going to do mushrooms because I've got a recipe, the beef ramen I'm going to do this week, and it uses a half a package of mushrooms, but I had gotten hungry and so hot while I was doing all of this, I did not feel like getting out the mushrooms and chopping them. But I've done cauliflower and I've done mushrooms. I've done both, and my family doesn't know. But also, since I'm trying to make sure I'm getting protein in, I did not want to reduce the protein too much. But there are other ways to get cheap protein in, and beef right now is not it. So there's a couple little tricks, and buy what's on sale. So that's why I'm doing so much pork and chicken, because it's like all that's on sale except for 80/20 ground beef. Okay, so we're going to do the Asian pork loin. Now, of course, in fashion, Jennifer fashion, I knew I needed something, and I forgot to make sure I got it. So I do plan when I go back to Costco next month to, I don't want to make a mess. They had a big thing of coconut aminos, which is basically like soy sauce, but I use Bragg's. So I'm going to get a container of that. So I looked at my Bragg's container, and there's about 1/3 of the bottle left. So I just wrote on all these, I'll show you, make sure you label. Tip number 1, most important tip of all, if all tips I've ever shared or learned, and I learned the hard way, write on your bag. I have some little sticker labels, but I've had them fall off. So then I had to go back and see what it could possibly be, and that game is not that fun either. So I put on here 725. I did pork loin because whenever I bought this, I wasn't sure what recipe I was going to do. And then I wrote Asian under it because I obviously decided to do the Asian. And then I did a plus sign, 1/3 cup Bragg's. And so now I know I need to add that whenever I make this. And this is just going to be dumped in my crock pot and then cooked. If you look at the original recipe, I used the buy one get one free pork fillet loin things. It's a weird name, but they're not very big. I used those. So this time, I think this guy was $1.49 a pound, and it was, I weighed these out as well, and each one is over 2 pounds, but I try to get as close to try to get as even as possible. So it calls for, my original recipe calls for balsamic vinegar, but I've got rice wine vinegar, so that's what I'm going to use. And I have where's my notes? Okay. Give me 1 second. Where's my notes? I know it was here. There it is. Okay. So I need 1/4 cup of vinegar. You can measure with a measuring spoon, cup. I'm just going to eyeball it. And I'm all about imperfection. Do it the best you can. If I waited for things to be perfect, which I used to, I wouldn't do anything. So I have perfection paralysis. I think that's 2 tablespoons. Yes, 2 tablespoons of minced vinegar. Sorry, I've got 1 hair. Make it with what you've got, and then add later if you need to. I was going to talk sides real quick. So sides for this, cauliflower fried rice is a great one. I think my favorite is Asian slaw. That's a really good one. Asian green beans is another great one, and that one I think is a fuel pull. And then Asian cucumbers. I don't make that one very often because my husband doesn't eat cucumbers, so 1/4 cup of oil, but I'm just going to do about close to 3 tablespoons. I'm running low on oil. It's what I need to get. But you know when you're on a budget and you can't just spend and spend, and oil at Costco's at least 20-something bucks for olive oil. 1.5 tablespoons, I think, of this. This is very powerful, so pull that out. I would not over season with this. Even if it's a little less, you can always add more the day of. You just can't take out. And I don't add salt to anything where I use Bragg's or soy sauce products because it is so salty, and I've oversalted things a couple of times, and so I just feel like anything that's going to have a salty base, I'm not going to add salt to. So, and then 2 tablespoons of ginger, and again, I'm just going to cheat and use this. Having some convenient things like this is it just makes things go so much faster. Okay. And 3 tablespoons of, I use brown swerve. That is my sweetener of choice. And I just found this container. A year ago, at some point last summer, I made my meals. I did all the 8s. And my husband was ready to go for dinner, and so I had my son come in here and put things up for me, and I could not find this. And I searched and I searched and I searched. I didn't even think. So when I was organizing my pantry yesterday, or had my canned goods, I was straightening up also my THM products or different products that came in bags, and I just happened to realize that this was not one of those, that this was my brown swerve. I think about 2 tablespoons. I don't know how much is in here, and it's compacting, so again, I can always add more. Like that's what and that's it. And so I'll need to add the Bragg soy sauce, coconut aminos, whenever I make this, and that is it. I'm just going to dump everything into the crock pot and cook it and figure out what size I want to make. And I really think the Asian slaw is a really, it is not complicated, but it has a few steps to it. So if you need fast and easy, the green beans are an excellent option. And the fried rice, it's, if you cook it like I recommend really cooking it until it has no more cauliflower smell or the hard texture. And if you don't care about doing crossovers, I've added a tiny bit of cooked rice before to it, especially for those who think they don't like cauliflower. They never ever know. At least I don't think so. I've made my Spanish rice for the youth group many times, and one of the young men, he was like, "Oh, I love Spanish rice." I had no idea it was cauliflower rice. So you just squish it around, and if you're doing this on your own without in front of a camera, I would do all of your seasonings, squish everything together, and then add the meat. But this way I can get the meat done ahead of time, and it's already in here and it's measured. And that is chicken wings. I'm going to go to, unless something gets this next week, Super One both do it, but Super One has bigger meat selection, 4 for $20. The only problem with that is sometimes I have to get 8 because the bags are not, it's not big enough. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, let's say it was a pork loin and it was only 1.5 pounds, and I would need a little bit more than that. Those are my two options. Because again, I'm trying to do this on a budget. I'm trying not to break our bank, but still keep doing this. It is such a blessing to have my freezer and my pantry stocked full of easy meals and things that I did on a budget. So anything I can save money on, especially for the future, is going to be a help. I don't know if y'all remember this, but in 2021, my husband put his truck in the shop to have like overhaul or something. I mean, all kinds of stuff to it. And remember 2021 was a rough year, and they waited for one part for 4 months. I had been stocking up. I knew a butcher, and he would let me know when there was a big bin full of discounted meat. I stocked up so much on meat that my husband said, "Where are you going to put this?" And I said, "Don't worry about it. I'll find a spot." And then that year, he did not work for 6 months because his truck was down other parts of the year. And so I turned all the air out. We were eating porterhouse steaks and baked potatoes and salad, broke as can be, no income. So I think that having things stocked up, it's just, it makes my brain feel better. Okay, that is it. I gotta do this again. Any comments, any suggestions, any recommendations on what to stock up with, or recipes that you think would be great for freezing? 1 week, when I go to Costco, I'm going to stock up on meatballs. I like the Kirkland ones, and I think that there's 1 gram of something that's too much in there. I'm not going to fret about one gram of something. Isn't it my life easier? So a meatball week, if you want to make your own Italian meatballs, that's what I was going to do. But with the price of ground meat going up so much, ground beef, I don't want to do the effort, and I don't want to buy 80/20. I don't want a lot of it to cook out. So for the Italian meatballs, I'm probably going to get 2 bags of theirs. One quick tip, and I'll go again. I made the sheet pan lasagna last night, and my recipe calls for 1.5 pounds of ground meat, and then I did a mixture of ground beef and Italian sausage. Last night I just did all Italian sausage. So Italian sausage is like $4 for the package, and so I saved money by not getting ground beef, and it was already seasoned for me. So that's it. Hope you're having a great summer. Bye.